Okay, hello and welcome to today's class training session. Today we'll be going through community projects and how to enter them into class and how to get data out for services for the community. My name is Samuel Martin. I will be your presenter today. I am on the ICT team at CLCs Australia. I would also like to welcome Alex Ariti, the ICT coordinator at CLCs Australia, who will be our facilitator for this session today. I'll begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today. I'm coming to you from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. If you would like to add the names of the lands that you are coming to us from into the chat function, please feel free. We always like seeing that. And I will also pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Okay. Before I introduce Alex, I just want to throw a bit of a welcome out there to David and Louise, who seem to be our only guests today. So you're getting a bit of a special, a bit of a one-on-one training session today. So I'll introduce Alex. Hi, Alex. I'm wondering if it's possible if we can have David and Louise off mute, if we can have their mics on, so we can have a bit of a chat with them.
Yep. So I've unmuted both of you, David and Louise. So all you have to do is just press the unmute button and you'll be able to talk with Sam as well.
Thanks, Alex. Yes,
yep,
you can.
I can hear you, David.
David. Yeah, great. Okay, great. So because we have a fairly low number of participants today, we're thinking we might kind of make this a bit more of a Q&A session. Is that the kind of thing that would sound good to you, David and Louise?
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay,
no problems.
Well, I had a little bit of trouble hearing that, Louise. Would you be able to repeat that, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, no problems.
Okay, great. All right, so today we're here to talk about community projects, how to enter them into class and how to get data out of class for the services that we do for the community. So what I was planning to do was to go through class and how we enter the projects in and the data for projects, and then probably go through a few of the reports that we can use. Is that the kind of thing you would like to do today? Or do you have some questions you'd like to just fire out right at the start?
I don't really have questions yet. I've been told I've got a couple of projects I need to get on with at work, and so I wasn't really sure how I put them in or how I monitor them or run with them. So I've had a bit of a look at it, but I'm not already currently using it.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks very much, Louise. The next thing I was going to do, which kind of feeds off of that, was to ask about your levels of experience with class, with community projects and with reports. David, how much experience do you have with projects and with class itself? Have we lost David?
I think David might be muted, I'm afraid.
Okay.
With me, I've been having I'm new to class, but I've been enthusiastically having a dig around with it, and I've asked for some additional permissions which work have given me. So I've been having a go with exporting reports out, and then I didn't get quite the level of detail that I wanted for the reports. I wanted like see court appearances which show as actions inside services. So they've given me some additional permissions to enable me to do that. So I've been mucking around with DIY reports and trying to delve down a little bit deeper into extracting some of the fantastic data that's in class.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much, Louise. Do we have you back, David?
Yeah, sorry, my headset dropped out, so I had to switch to audio call.
Okay, sure. So what kind of level of experience do you have with class and with community projects in particular?
Are you speaking to myself or?
Yes.
Yes.
David?
So limited. So I kind of come from a strange place. So I am the practice manager for Southport Community Legal Service, and I'm a board member, but we are not mandated to use class, so to speak, in general. But in my day job, so to speak, where I work for like a IT consultancy, and we support a lot of CLCs who are using a practice management system and needed to work with class. And we've done, data migrations, getting data from class into like Action Step or Matera, whatever they're using. So I only jumped on just so I could get a better idea of I never had formal class training, so I just wanted to kind of get a better understanding of how it's actually used day to day. So
Yeah,
hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that's really good. It's great to know those kinds of things. Just so you know, I think our training session that we have next week is the new user and general user training session, which is kind of the real basics of class. Just thought I'd that one that might be really appropriate. But from what you've told me, I think I'll start from the start. So I'll go through community projects, what they are, a bit of background on them, and then we'll go into class and have a look at what we do in there. And then towards the end, we'll have a look at some reports. I think we scheduled in about an hour for this session. It doesn't usually take much longer than about 30 minutes. So hopefully we can be finished up within about half an hour. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the overview of today's session. So we'll quickly talk about what community projects are, how they differ to services to individuals. We'll quickly talk about projects versus project services, which is a bit of the functionality in class that we'll need to discuss a bit. How to find the projects that are entered into class, how to make new ones, project services, finding and creating those. I'll quickly talk about project service types, although I'm not an expert on that. I can show you where to get information about those. And then we'll go through a couple more things, copying project services, which is pretty quick, and then reports, which is not actually on this list, but we will talk about. And I'll also show you where to get help. If you need help with class, I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, so individuals versus community. This is a little quote we've got from our data consistency guide, which I will be showing you later. Showing you where to find it, how to access it, how to get help with it. So community projects, also called services to the community, bring together all the work the centres do with communities or with groups of people that cannot be defined as one-on-one service to an individual. So that's probably pretty self-explanatory, although we will kind of come back to that a bit later when we start talking about the different types of project services that we can enter into class. So projects versus project services. Yeah, so I just want to go over a bit of the theory behind this really quickly before we do dive into class. So the way that class works is that we have projects and we kind of refer to the projects as a bucket. And then we have project services, and we put our project services inside the bucket, inside a project itself. Now, I can't actually tell you why class was set up this way. Kind of predates my time at CLCs Australia, but what I can tell you is that the projects themselves aren't really counted. We can get data for the projects, but it's the project services is where we enter the data that really counts. We often find that a lot of centres find community projects really quite confusing, and this is kind of one of the main reasons for it. A lot of people forget to enter their project services inside a project, so that's one of the key things to keep in mind when we're entering data for community projects. Okay, so having said that, let's go over to class and have an actual look at it. So this is not so much the basic training session that we do. So I've already logged in and whatnot. That's the kind of thing we do in the new user and general user training session. What I will do is just dive straight into projects. So if we're looking for these, I just want to click there. That's the way class will look when you first open it up. So to enter data into class for community projects, we click down here, community. So that changes our secondary navigation menu. And as we can see there, we've got search projects, search project services, and then the My Projects and My Project Services is where you will find projects and project services that are assigned specifically to you or to whoever is logged into class at the time. So that's kind of how projects and project services work. So if we move on from there, we can move on to finding projects, and as we've just seen, we go to community, and then if we click on search projects, so this will open the list of all of the community projects that are entered into class. So this is a good place to stop just briefly and let you know that this is my account for class. I'm logged in here, there's my name, and here's the center that I'm logged into. This is CLCs Australia. This is our instance of class. We don't actually have any actual clients, so none of the data that you're seeing today is confidential client information. This is all just dummy data. So then searching for projects, once we come in here, so there's a couple of ways to do this, and it depends on how your center has been entering community projects. It's possible that your center may have been doing this for quite a while and has quite a few in here. Something like this is a good example of a good way to kind of group your data in class. You could give project names, like you could give it the year. So you would do this if you know that you will be doing several community legal education activities throughout the year. Then you could give it the name of the year, and then just put all of the community projects that you do in terms of community legal education. You can just put them all inside the one project. Then when you're trying to find projects that you've already entered, that makes things much easier. What you could do is do a search in the title for something like the year. We don't have any entered into this one for this year as yet, and your results would probably be a lot longer than one result. Let me just remove that and go back. So if you're doing something like, let me just see, I'll see if this gives us any results. So if you wanted to do if you wanted to find all of the projects regarding training, you could do something like that kind of search, and that's a bit of a way to, that's one way to find the projects that are already entered into class. You could use something like the start date, something like that. The project type, you could search for that. Yeah, so that's how we would find projects. Can I stop and ask if anyone has any questions at the moment, and also send out a welcome to Susan, who's just joined us.
All good.
I'm good.
Okay, thanks very much. Alex, is it possible to bring Susan off mute so we can all just say hi?
Yep, no problem. That's already been done. So Susan, all you need to do is just unmute yourself and feel free to chat.
Okay. I might just, we might just move on if there are no questions yet. So to create new projects in class, this is pretty basic, it's pretty self-explanatory, not real difficult. Let's just jump straight back over to class. And while we're in search projects, all we have to do is click new, and we can create a brand new project. And once it loads, we can see that there are a few required fields that we need to enter in here. I'll just click out of that one so that you can see that the title is a required field. And as I was saying before, you could enter the year. Another option for giving projects titles would be to give it the name of the project that you're doing. So an example would be, if you go to an event, a community event, and set up a stall to hand out flyers or something like that, and you do that every year at the annual event, what you could do is say that this is the yearly local event. Then once you've done that, what you could do is just add a project service in once a year. And then you can just title the project something like, this is the 2021 event. Next year, you can just add another one and say this is the 2022 event. Just a couple of tips there for you. So your project status.
Excuse me, so would an example of that be like Ochre Ribbon Day or something like that,
Yes.
where you do it every year and you just come back and say, you know, the 10 officers each did a service that looks like this?
Right, yes, you could do that. And then you could add an individual service for each location, and then enter the data for each of the different locations, and then enter something into delineate which service belongs to which location. I hope that answers that question. So the project status, it can be commenced, completed, or deferred. You could probably set up other options there if you wanted to. Let us know if you would like to. We can help you do that. I will also let you know that this is it kind of just, again, going back to the fact that this is our CLC's Australia instance of class. We've got some dummy sort of fields and stuff in here, like this custom project field. That may not be, you may not have that in your instance of class. Try to ignore any of the stuff that you're seeing in here which doesn't look familiar to you. Some of this stuff we use for testing and training purposes. So going back to the required fields again, the funding category and the project type are both required. Funding categories can be a bit complex and not very well understood. Again, let us know if you need help with funding categories. We've got a couple of experts who work in funding categories who can give you a hand with that. Those are ideal kinds of questions for the class help desk, and I'll be showing you how to get help there a little bit later. So your project types, you just enter whatever is the most relevant to the project that you are doing. So once you've got all your data in, your required data, and whatever other data you want to enter in, you would just hit save and close. That then creates the project. And as I was saying before, you will need to then go and add a project service to the project. Unfortunately, we don't have anything which prompts you to remind you that you need to enter a service to the project, but we may be working on that in the future, hopefully. So that's basically how you enter a new project. Any questions on that? There are no questions, we can just move right ahead. Project services. So finding those is pretty easy as well. I'll just go back here. We'll see that the project ID is auto-generated. Just let me fill in a couple of these just really quickly. And then I will actually hit save and close on that. Excuse me. And we will see that we have a new project in here. So we had 19 projects before, so here's our new one, our yearly local event, which was started on today's date. So to finding and creating project services. So to create a project service for this project, you would simply click on the project ID, the little link there, and that opens the project. Once the project opens, we can see that we've got a few tabs in the top of this screen. So these are all the screens for the project itself, all of the critical dates for the project, the documents, and the project audit. I could show you the audits very quickly, but we don't usually go through this. In this session, this just tells you basic information about what happened with this particular project. So obviously there are no documents or critical dates because this has just been created right now. So this tab here is services. So this is where we would create a service for this project that we have just created. So click on the services tab and we can see that there are none in there. So again, pretty simple to create a new one. You simply click new. Once this loads, it will show us fields that we need to enter and other fields that we can enter. And some of these details will change. You'll get new fields depending on the project service type that you enter. If this is a CLE activity, we've got a whole bunch of new fields, including a bunch of dummy ones that we've got down here. Just ignore those. So we've got stakeholder engagement. Again, the fields change. I'll be coming back to these a little bit later, and again, we'll test stuff in our version of class. Just let me enter some of these fields really quickly. One little tip here is we've got these buttons down here today. I don't know why you would use this button. I've never used it myself. Anyway, never mind that. This is a great little button today. You can just click there and that just selects the date for you. And then problem types, law types, all of these fields can be filled in and probably should be. It's fairly self-explanatory, that kind of stuff. I won't go into that in too much detail unless you would like me to. I'm just basically showing you how to enter a service into class. Some of the more interesting fields are the activity type. I don't know why we've got that field, ignore that one. The number of persons accessing and the number of activities delivered. We find that those are a couple of the more interesting fields that centres seem to need more often. So that is how you enter a service to a project that you've already created. I'll save and close that, and I'll quickly skip back to how to find project services, which is fairly simple as well. We would simply click on search project services, which will open this screen for us. And here are all the project services. I believe that's the one I just entered. The open date is today, and it's assigned to me. So that would be the one I've just entered. Again, we see a whole bunch of search boxes up the top there. So if you're looking for a project service that you know has been entered into class so that you can maybe change some of the data that's in there, Again, you've got search options in here. You probably ignore that one. You might search on something like the location if you just want to find all the project services for a particular location, if that was what you wanted to do. Okay, any questions about anything so far? Okay, if we haven't got any questions, we can just skip ahead. Okay, project service type. Again, so as I was saying earlier on, I'm not an expert on this. I will show you where to find information on these though. So we've got our 4 basic project service types: community education, community legal education, law and legal service reform, stakeholder engagement are 4 basic ones. And to show you where to get information on those, I'm going to direct you to our website. This is our website here, clcs.org.au, the Community Legal Centres Australia website. So once you click into here, you can find information on the different service types. If you hover under resources and then come down to our data consistency guide, which I did mention earlier, this is the resource we have for all of the kinds of information on service types, data that's entered into class, how it should be entered, what should be entered. So today we're talking about community projects. So I will show you this menu on the right side of the screen. If we scroll down a little bit, we find community projects. If you click in there, so there's some information on community projects, and then under this heading in this menu, there are the 4 different types of community project services, the ones I just mentioned before. And if you click onto any of those, they will give you the information on what okay.
Sorry, looks like we had a little bit of a malfunction there.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Okay, so we get the definitions and case studies and other information, stuff like that. So if you're looking for information on the different service types for community projects, this is where to find it. Just again, just really quickly, resources, data consistency guide, and then community projects is listed there. Okay, let me skip ahead unless anyone's got any questions. I'll quickly ask if there are any questions. If there aren't any questions, we might move on to copying project services, which is pretty quick. We'll skip back to class and we'll have a look for a project service. So right here in class, I'm in community and then search project services. This is not going to work for us, however. We want to go back to search projects and then we'll open a service. I've got one open already. Our yearly local events. This is the general information for our service. This is the one we just set up today. So if I click into the services tab, and again, going back to the example of a community event that we do every year, you may not want to start a new service from scratch every year. There is a quicker and easier way to do it. I will let you know. There are a couple of little things to look out for. We're not going under that yet. That's where we are. Let me skip back to class. So we can have a look at these little things to look out for once we see how you actually copy a project service. So to copy one, you simply select the service you want. This is the one we did this year. Let's pretend that we're setting one up for this service that we did next year. Okay. Once you select your service, you simply click copy, and it'll ask if you want to copy the project service. I suppose you might hit that button by accident. These things happen. In which case you select no. If you really do want to copy that project service, you simply click yes. Okay, so here here are a couple of things we need to watch out for already. Excuse me. Already I can see that this new one doesn't have the open date and doesn't have the assigned to filled in. So those are the kinds of things that we need to look out for, are the fields that don't get copied across when we copy the service. So you might want to open the service by clicking in the service ID there. Once you do that, you can fill in your required fields. You can assign this to someone, and then you can save it. And that is a really quick and easy way to create a brand new service without having to create one from scratch. You can just copy one and then just fill in whatever fields you need to or want to fill in then. Okay, that's how to copy a service. All right. Any questions on that, or can we skip ahead after that? Because we are moving on to something that's a little bit lengthier than most of the things we have talked about today, reports. So this is how to get data from class for your community projects. So let me skip back to class and show you that. Okay. Before I do that, I will just quickly mention these two options we have in the menu here, which I have kind of mentioned before, but I'll just show you very quickly. My projects, these are the projects that are only assigned to me or created by me, and my project services, these are only the project services that are assigned to me. That's just a little bit of a quicker and easy way to find them if you want to use that option. Okay, so to find reports and find data on community projects, we need to use reports. So we need to click on the reports and accountability option down here in our primary navigation menu. Let's click on reports. We click on reports and accountability, then we'll click on reports. Okay, this will bring up the full list of all of the reports in class. I'll show you a really nice, quick and easy way to find all of the reports that only give you data for our community projects. I'll just show you down the bottom here. I don't know if you can see this, it's quite small, but it says that there's 66 items. So that's 66 different reports. So we don't really, I don't know about you, but personally, I don't really like going scrolling through these reports trying to find the one I'm looking for. So a really nice, quick and easy way to find these reports is simply to click in this field here, the name field. I've already done this a couple of times today, so I'll just do that. You just search for project and I'll load that up. Okay, so we're down from 66. We've now got 7 reports, which is a much nicer number, in my opinion. Okay, so we've got one standard report here, which will give us data on project services, as we can see there. And then we've got these 2 reports here. This is an NPA report. I believe this is an NPA report as well. Those will give you slightly more flexibility with what you can do with the report. I'll show you most of these really briefly. And then we've got the 4 DIY reports. So I'll give you a bit of background briefly on reports, the naming convention of the reports and how that works. I won't show you all of those DIY reports today, and once I let you know the naming conventions for the reports, it should become pretty obvious what these reports can do for you. So for the names of the DIY reports, you get the name of the fields that are available in the report. So for this one here, we've got project service action. So this report has all of the fields that are available on the project service screen, and then all the actions inside of those project services they're also available in this report. So for this report, you get all of the fields from the project screen, and then you can get data for your documents as well. So this one's the project services and the documents. This one I'll show you a little bit later. I might come back to it. This is the fields from the project screen and the fields from the project service screen. I'll show you a couple of interesting things we can do with that report. I'll really quickly show you this standard report and what it does. Just let me enter some really basic information in here really quickly. I'm just going to load some data into this report just so we can see what it does. I will just really quickly show you this, the catchment. You can aggregate this by the center. That's all you can do. I don't even know why that's even there, but ignore that. Okay, so this project will give us our data broken down by our law types, here's civil law, family law, etc. And then the high-level problem types, and then it's all broken down by our project service types. So here they are here, as you can see in that time frame. We did a community education project services. So that's the basics of what this report can do. You probably have a lot more data in your reports than we have in ours. We don't have a ton of data in our instance of class. Anyway, let me move on to this report, which is what we call a drill down report. I'll show you what that means after I load up this report and show it to you. Okay, so we can see that there's a bit of a difference between the last report. I'll just jump back over to the first report we did. So this kind of is all set up for us. We don't have much functionality in this report. This is the other report, the drill down report. So this looks a little bit different, and we do have some more options available to us with this report. Just let me load some data into it so we can see what it does, and then we'll see what else we can do with it. Okay, so this is essentially almost exactly the same as the last report we saw. It's almost exactly the same. What we can do with this report is we can move some of these fields in and out. So the way to do that is to click on the Customize button there. I'll click on that, and that brings up the field list. So this field list is only available to us in the drill down and the DIY reports. And it is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a list of fields. As you can see, there are none in there at the moment. But what we can do is remove a field from the report if we want. Say we weren't interested in the problem types. We only want data for the law types themselves. What we can do is just take that field, click on it, drag it over to the field list, drop it anywhere on top of that. I'm just going to close this field list. As you can see, you can move it around anywhere you want. You can expand it out. Oftentimes I need to do that. I'm just going to close it to get rid of it. And now we can see that we're only getting data for the law type. We've removed those problem types. So that's a bit of basics on standard reports. Those are the drill down reports. These are the drill down reports. There's one more of these I might show you very briefly. And the kinds of data that we can get on our project services. I'll quickly show you this other drill down report before I move on to the DIY reports. This one's slightly different. We've got slightly more options in this one than we do with the previous two. I'm just going to load some data into it so we can see what this does. Again, you might have a fair bit more data in the reports than we do. Anyway, I will show you another way to bring up the field list. So two ways to bring up the field list. The first one I just showed you is to click on Customize, not any of the drop-down options there, just click on Customize itself. That brings up the field list. I'll show you the second way to do that now. So I'll close that. I'll just move my mouse anywhere up the top here, the top of the report, and right click. This gives us a list of 3 items. The middle one is show the field list. We click on that, that does the exact same thing as clicking on customize. So now we can see we've got a few more options. We've got our problem types back. If we wanted those, we could do that. If we wanted data on problem types, we could use that. If we want data for the locations of the places where we've been doing community projects, we could take that field and we can drop it in anywhere we want. We'll probably drop it somewhere like there. What you do is you move the field around until you find the place you want it. You get those 2 little arrows pop up, one points up, one points down. As soon as you find the place where you want to drop your field, you just let go, and that will drop that field in there. As you can see, there's no data in there, so that didn't work very well. Never mind that. I might actually, so we can see, we've already seen how to remove the fields. I'll just remove that one. I'm just trying to get some data into this report so that I can show you one more option. Actually, there's a couple more options that we have in these drill down and DIY reports. So the first option is to order our data. So in each of these fields, at the end of the little grey box there, we've got a couple of icons, the ordering icon and the filtering icon with the little funnel icon there. So if I click on the ordering button, that will change that to reverse alphabetical order. Excuse me. And say if we had a report with a ton of data in it and we can't really make sense of it, what we can do is filter the report to remove things we don't want or to add things we do want. So if we click on the filter button, now we can choose what options we want. If you click on the show all button, that unselects everything. Then you can choose only the things you want. Things like, say we did that, that might make sense. They're kind of interrelated. And we click on OK. And that then filters the report to remove the data that we don't want. So that's so a couple more of the options that we have with the drill down reports. Okay, I might ask if there are any questions about the drill down or the standard or drill down reports before I move on.
We've had a bunch come through from Louise.
Okay.
Let's have a look here. So Louise, if you want to come off mute and ask them to Sam directly, feel free. There are a couple that have come on through the chat as well.
Great.
I didn't realize there was a chat. Okay, so basically, what was my question? If I go into that report, you know, the report that you were talking about, because as you were doing it, I looked on class and I could see it as well. If I go in and start fiddling with stuff, am I actually wrecking this report for everyone?
No, not at all. No, you're not. So with the standard reports, you just load it up, load the data in, and anyone can do that at any time. That's not going to affect anything for anyone else. So when you do this, that's not going to save anything. If you remove something, you can put it back. I might even, so this is the N03.2, to just demonstrate, I might close that because I removed, I think it was the problem types field from there. I'm going to close that and see what happens when I reopen the report. It was that one. I'm going to reopen that report. And as you can see, the problem types have come back in, and it hasn't loaded the data, so we have to redo the filter panel so it doesn't wreck any of the data for anyone else. One option we do have is to save the reports. Let me flick back over to this report, which I've loaded data into. What we can do is save a report. We just click on Save As, and then we can give the report a name. I don't know, you might want to change the number. That might not mean anything to you. You might want to give this a name that means something to you. Report for whatever the data is that you're looking for. You can use the description to write out something a little bit longer if you want. And you can click the Save Changes button. So that means the changes are saved in the report. So what happens after you save the report is you can then just go and find the report that you saved, open it up, and if you've got the save changes ticked, it will load the same time frame or date range, but it will just make it today instead of the date range that you had set in there previously, which is what that kind of thing is about. That's how you would set up a report to keep a report that you can go back to and get data from regularly. Yep.
If I do that, so I had a bit of a crack at that. I've been having a go at fiddling with the DIY services report. Like, what I was trying to get was a list of all the matters that I had open in a given month, for stat reporting, etc. So I did save as a couple of reports as, custom ones. Are they then available? You know how I can see all these DIY things? Does everyone get to see the one that I've made up myself?
No, they don't. Let me see if I can show you how that works. I'll try to do this kind of quickly. What happens is that, let me just have a quick look. I'm just going to quick look at this copy of report. What happens is that once you save the report, sorry, that's not what I'm looking for. Let me just try again. Once you save the report, you get an option to share the report with other people. Let me try this one, and hopefully this will let me show you what I'm trying to show you. That's not working well at all. Okay, let me try a different one. That looks a bit unusual. Let me see if this will work for us. No, okay, apologies for that. But if you save the report, once you save the report, you get a new button in the top right, which is sharing. If you click that button, you can then share that report with other people at your center. You can do that. You can share it with individuals, or you can share it with everyone who has a certain role set in class. So whether that's just class admins, whether it's only admin advanced, or you can share it with whatever role you like. I'd love to be able to show you this, but this doesn't seem to be working. I'm going to try once more. So until you have shared a report, sorry, it's just, I don't know why that's not working for me. Apologies for that. But once you have shared, until you have shared a report with someone, no one else will be able to see that report. Hope that answers those questions, Louise. If there are any other questions.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I was just worried that if I alter something, I've wrecked the template. So that's pretty good. And I've been having a go at creating some custom templates, which with varying success, but I'll just keep trudging along with that. And this has been very helpful.
Great. I'll show you one last thing. This is the one DIY report that I'm going to show you. I'll go back to the list of reports. So this is the DIY project service report. So I'm just going to whip up a quick report really quickly. I'm just going to pop in here. I can never see enough. The project ID, sorry, just give me a second. There we go. Okay. I'll pop the project service ID in. I will pop in the project ID, and then I've already loaded up some dummy data into the filter panel really quickly. So I'll just load that up. What we can do with this report, as soon as I load that up, is we can see pretty quickly that the project with project ID number 17 doesn't have any project services attached to it. So if you're looking for a list like this, this is a good way to find projects that don't have any services attached to them. And then you can go and figure out why there are no services, enter one if you need to. The other thing we can do with this DIY report is, so this is just a list of data. This is kind of a management kind of report. But if you do want to get actual data out of this report, you can use the number of projects, drop that into the data items, and then the number of project services. I believe those are the only two fields you can put into that data items section of this report. As we can see, this will load the actual numbers into your report for you. We'll give you, funnily enough, it says that for each of these projects, there's one project. That's about what we would expect to see. And then there's the number of project services in each of these projects. I thought there was one, I must have the wrong date range, never mind that. Okay, that's a pretty quick overview, quick look at reports, mainly focused at community projects. We will be doing a training session in the not too distant future. Actually, I think we're doing two separate training sessions on reports. What I'll do now is show you how to get help from the class help desk. So I'll show you a couple more things really quickly. Up the top in the top right here, there's a couple of interesting buttons here. There's this button here, which is the close all button. I find this great, and as you can see right now, I've got so many tabs open up the top. I would need to flick across to find the one I'm working on. I can't find it, gets really annoying. What you can do is just hover over that, click close all, there they are, they're all gone. We've also got the home button. If you click that, that will take you back to the message boards, and that's just like you first logged into class. The other button we've got here is the question mark in the circle, little help button. If you click on that, that will bring you across to the class documentation on our website. So to get help, so this is the documentation for class, how to use class. There's the user manual. This is a fairly expansive document. There's a lot of information in here. The user manual is pretty big. There's a manual for class admins as well. There's also a link here for getting help and support. Before I click on that, I will just highlight that right here we've got our new help desk portal. There's the link to it. I'll open that, but I'll come back to it. So you can use the portal to keep track of your inquiries on the help desk. I believe you need to have emailed us at least once to the help desk from your email address before you can set up a portal, before you can set up an account on the portal. If you don't have an account on the portal, you can always just email us to this email address, and that will come through to the class help desk, and you'll get a reply from us there. So we'll have a quick look at the portal. Once you come to the portal, you can select what you need help with, and you can see all of your requests that you've made up here. And you can choose, and you can make a new request. Say you want a request for training, you can do that. Say you want a clarification on something in how class works, you can do that as well. So I'll take you across now to the help and support page on our website. This gives you all the options. The correct browser to use classing is Chrome, and it gets a bit funny sometimes, Chrome, so you might need to clear your cache. A couple of little quick tips there. There's the email address again to email us at the help desk. Again, another link to the portal and the phone number to call the help desk with your inquiries as well. So if you do have questions about reports, you need help building reports, we do that all the time on the help desk. Please send those questions to us at the help desk. Okay, we have been going for a while. This session's not usually this long. Anyway, I'll ask if there are any other questions before we finish up today. No other questions? Okay, great. If no one has any questions, then thanks very much. I hope this has been helpful. We do run these training sessions pretty regularly. I did forget to show you a couple of other things just before we go. I'll skip back to our website and just show you. Again, this is our website, the help and support page. We've got this menu in the right, as I showed you. It's got the user manual, the admin manual. You can also find information on our training sessions. If you click into there, and then you can find the training schedule, which is there. Click on that. That will bring you across to the list of training sessions that we have coming up. There's today's one, that's next week. We'll be doing the new user and general user session. And then we've got a couple of different sessions on reports, which may be of interest to you. If you do want to register for those sessions, you can just click into whichever session you want to register for, get a bit of information on it, and just click the button to register. I will also show you really quickly our series of events and webinars that we're having at CLCs Australia. It's called Emergence, Our Stories in the Next Decade, and it's a series of events and collaborations that we're doing because we couldn't have a national conference last year, so we're doing this instead. Excuse me. So we'll be having quite a few sessions, webinars and events this year. So if you do want to register for those, and if you are interested in something like a legal assistance data project, you can click into here to get information and register for those as well. You can also find the list of the webinars that we've done already, and there may be videos and stuff that you could find there as well. Again, that's just under the Emergence tab on our website. Okay. Again, I'll say thanks very much. I hope this does help. I hope to see you again in some training sessions in the future and on the help desk. I'll open this up to any further questions before we finish. If there are no further questions, I'll say thanks to Alex and Reedy for facilitating, and thanks to everyone for participating in this session.
Thanks so much, Sam. You did a great job. And thanks everyone for joining in.
Thanks very much, Alex. Bye all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.